Is India about to become the world's next economic superpower? With PM Modi at the helm, India's economy is transforming at an unprecedented pace. From ambitious infrastructure projects to bold economic reforms, PM Modi has a vision that could redefine India's place on the global stage. But can India overcome the obstacles standing in its way? And could we be witnessing the birth of the next global leader in economics? India's economic potential and demographic advantage. And India stands on the brink of an economic transformation, fueled by its massive population and unique advantages that few countries can match. With over 1.4 billion people, India is now the world's most populous country, recently surpassing China. But it's not just about the numbers. India's demographic profile gives it a significant edge. Over half of the Indian population is under the age of 30, creating a young, dynamic, and rapidly growing workforce ready to power the Indian economy for decades to come. Positioned as a key player in global trade, India's strategic location places it as a crucial link between Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. As global supply chains shift away from China's economy due to rising costs and geopolitical tensions, India is becoming an increasingly attractive option. With the US dollar remaining volatile, and nations like Russia seeking alternative trade partners, India's economy is poised to fill the gaps. In fact, as part of the BRICS alliance, India has strengthened ties with nations like Russia, further diversifying its trade networks and reducing dependency on traditional Western markets. India's large English-speaking workforce has already made it a global leader in outsourcing and IT services. This sector alone contributes billions to the Indian economy, with companies like Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, and Infosys leading the way in business process outsourcing, BPO. This thriving industry also positions India as a crucial service provider for US economy giants, drawing in major companies looking to cut costs while maintaining quality service. Under PM Modi's leadership, the country has launched initiatives such as Make in India, aimed at transforming India into a manufacturing powerhouse. These efforts have led to increased foreign investments, with special economic zones, SEZs, and simplified regulations making it easier for global corporations to set up in India. Big names like Apple and Samsung have begun manufacturing in the country, creating thousands of jobs and injecting substantial capital into India's economy. Interest rates have also been managed to remain attractive for foreign investors, further stabilizing India as an investment hub. India's potential isn't limited to labor-intensive industries. With a focus on high-tech and innovation, the country has launched ambitious projects in space technology and is a global leader in the pharmaceutical sector, known as the pharmacy of the world. India's pharma industry supplies affordable generic medicines to countries worldwide, boosting both its economic prosperity and global influence. Despite this progress, India faces significant challenges. Economic inequality remains a daunting obstacle, as rural areas struggle with limited opportunities compared to thriving urban centers like Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. Bridging the gap between the prosperous cities and underdeveloped rural areas will be essential for inclusive growth, ensuring that all citizens benefit from the nation's economic rise. With its youthful workforce, strategic location, and rising influence within alliances like BRICS, India holds vast economic promise. But will these advantages be enough to elevate the country to a global superpower? Or will challenges like inequality and infrastructure shortfalls slow down its ascent on the world stage? The answers will shape the future of the Indian economy. India's manufacturing and outsourcing boom. As India positions itself as a global economic powerhouse, it's quickly becoming a key player in both manufacturing and outsourcing. With China's economy facing challenges from rising wages and political tensions, global companies are seeking alternative locations for labor-intensive production, and India's economy is uniquely positioned to fill that void. India's labor costs are significantly lower than in China, making it a prime destination for industries like textiles, electronics, and consumer goods manufacturing. This shift is not only boosting the Indian economy but also drawing in investments from companies around the world, especially as reliance on China's supply chain decreases. The BRICS alliance, of which India is a prominent member alongside Russia, China, Brazil, and South Africa, is also driving India's manufacturing and economic potential. This coalition has opened doors for India to strengthen its economic partnerships and challenge the US dollar dominance by trading in local currencies. The influence of BRICS is helping India reduce its dependence on Western economies, while enhancing trade with emerging markets and securing more favorable terms in global trade deals. India's outsourcing sector, particularly in business process outsourcing, BPO, and IT services, has been a cornerstone of the Indian economy for years. Companies like Infosys and Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, continue to attract clients from the US economy and other advanced markets, driving billions of dollars in revenue. With a large, skilled and English-speaking workforce, India has become a go-to location for tasks ranging from customer service to software development. In fact, according to India Today, the IT outsourcing industry alone contributes around 8% of India's GDP and is projected to grow even further with demand from multinational companies seeking cost-effective solutions. PM Modi's Make in India initiative is further propelling India's manufacturing sector, inviting both local and international investors to boost domestic production. This campaign aims to increase the share of manufacturing in India's GDP to 25% by 2025, creating millions of new jobs in the process. By establishing special economic zones, SEZs, and providing incentives for foreign companies to manufacture in India, the government is working to transform India into a manufacturing giant. Companies like Apple, Samsung, and Foxconn are already setting up production facilities, bringing jobs and capital into the country. However, the road to becoming a manufacturing hub is not without challenges. One of India's obstacles is the lack of infrastructure needed to support large-scale industrialization. Unlike China, which has spent decades building high-speed rail networks, modern ports, and extensive road systems, India's infrastructure development has lagged. This disparity affects logistics, increases production costs, and slows down supply chains. To address these issues, PM Modi has been focusing on infrastructure projects like New Delhi's freight corridors and expanding port capacities, aiming to ease transportation bottlenecks that could hinder India's growth. Another significant issue India faces is maintaining competitive interest rates that attract foreign investments without destabilizing its economy. High interest rates could slow down investment and economic growth, while low rates might lead to inflation. Striking a balance is crucial as India competes with other low-cost production hubs like Vietnam, Thailand, and Bangladesh. Managing these economic factors carefully is essential for India to remain an attractive destination for global manufacturers. Beyond manufacturing, India is also expanding in the tech sector, especially in digital services and AI development. As more companies adopt digital solutions, India's skilled workforce in software engineering and data science is well positioned to take on more complex and high-value projects. This development not only enhances India's financial position, but also places it on the map as a leader in economic transformation in the digital age. India's rise as a manufacturing and outsourcing powerhouse is shaping its role in the global economy. The country's economic strategy is not just about replacing China, but about building a robust and diversified economy that can withstand global shifts. India is aiming high, seeking to become a formidable economic player in its own right. The combination of low labor costs, a skilled workforce, and strategic government initiatives makes India one of the most promising emerging markets. Will India's economy continue to grow and thrive in the face of these challenges? Or will infrastructure bottlenecks and economic constraints slow down its progress? India's journey is being closely watched, as its success could redefine the future of global trade, the US dollar's influence, and even the balance within BRICS. The role of AI and automation in India's economic future. India's booming economy is built on a foundation of labor-intensive industries, such as outsourcing, manufacturing, and BPO services. But as AI and automation technologies advance, there's a growing question. How will India's economy adapt to this technological shift? As one of the largest outsourcing hubs in the world, the country faces a critical challenge. Industries that rely on repetitive, low-skilled jobs, like customer service and data entry, are especially vulnerable to automation. With AI chatbots and digital assistants rapidly evolving, tasks once outsourced to India could soon be handled by algorithms, posing a potential risk to millions of jobs in the Indian economy. The impact of AI on outsourcing is already visible. In sectors like customer service, companies in the US economy and around the world are increasingly using AI-powered solutions to handle queries that were once managed by call center agents in India. This shift is slowly changing the landscape of India's BPO sector, one of its largest employment providers. According to India Today, analysts estimate that by 2030, up to 30% of outsourcing jobs could be automated, creating a need for India to upskill its workforce or diversify into higher skilled services to stay competitive. As part of PM Modi's broader economic strategy, the Indian government is promoting initiatives aimed at upskilling the workforce to prepare for an AI-driven future. Through programs like Skill India, the government is working to train young Indians in fields like data science, machine learning, and software engineering. These skills are increasingly in demand and could help India move up the value chain, allowing it to compete not just in outsourcing, but in the high-tech sectors driving global economic transformation. In the context of the BRICS alliance, AI and digital transformation present both challenges and opportunities. While China leads in developing and exporting AI technologies, India has a unique advantage with its vast English-speaking workforce. This language skill allows India to cater to international companies, especially those in English-speaking regions like the United States, giving it a competitive edge over China in areas like technical support and digital services. As BRICS nations increasingly focus on technological advancements, India is positioning itself as a leader in global tech services. Despite these efforts, automation poses a real threat to the Indian economy if not managed properly. India's reliance on low-cost labor makes it vulnerable to disruptions caused by rapid technological shifts. Industries that currently thrive on human labor, such as textiles and basic consumer goods manufacturing, may eventually turn to automation to cut costs, impacting India's competitive edge in low-cost production. This shift could have ripple effects across the Indian economy, affecting job security for millions and impacting the livelihoods of those dependent on labor-intensive sectors. The stakes are high, as India's economy is in a race against time to adapt to these technological advancements before they lead to widespread job displacement. The impact of AI is also felt in industries beyond outsourcing. Even manufacturing jobs are at risk. Factories in developed nations are increasingly using robots to perform tasks traditionally done by human workers, and this trend could further reduce the demand for labor in sectors where India currently excels. In response, PM Modi's administration is focused on fostering innovation and supporting startups that specialize in AI and automation. By cultivating a robust tech ecosystem, India aims to become a global leader in digital services, much like it did with outsourcing. These startups are not only helping India diversify its economy, but are also attracting foreign investments that boost its financial stability. This approach aligns with India's goal of achieving economic independence while reducing reliance on traditional labor-intensive industries. The adoption of AI and automation will undoubtedly reshape India's economic future. By investing in skill development and technological innovation, India is aiming to turn this challenge into an opportunity. With strategic planning, India could evolve from a hub for labor-intensive industries to a center for high-value technology and digital services. But it will require balancing this transition carefully, ensuring that technology complements India's vast workforce rather than replacing it. India's adaptation to AI and automation is a critical test of its ability to sustain its current growth trajectory. As the global economy shifts, India has the chance to set itself apart as a leader in digital innovation within BRICS and on the world stage. Will India successfully harness technology to maintain its economic momentum, or will automation disrupt the very industries that have fueled its rise? Infrastructure and brain drain challenges in India. As India emerges as a global economic contender, the nation's infrastructure and brain drain issues present significant challenges that could impact its long-term growth. While India has made remarkable strides in sectors like outsourcing, manufacturing, and technology, its infrastructure, from roads and ports to power and urban planning, lags behind other leading economies. Without addressing these foundational gaps, India's economic growth could be stunted, limiting the potential of its young and ambitious workforce. Unlike China, which has spent decades building a robust infrastructure network to support its industries, India's infrastructure has struggled to keep pace with its economic aspirations. Roads are congested, ports are overburdened, and the transportation network is often inefficient, slowing down both domestic logistics and international trade. This infrastructure gap significantly raises the cost of doing business, impacting India's attractiveness to foreign investors and slowing its rise as a manufacturing hub. According to India Today, infrastructure limitations alone could cost India 2–3% of GDP growth annually, which is a substantial setback for a country aiming to compete with global giants like the US economy and China's economy. To address these issues, PM Modi has launched multiple infrastructure projects under the National Infrastructure Pipeline, NIP, with an estimated investment of $1.4 trillion by 2025. The goal is to revamp India's transportation, energy, and urban infrastructure, reducing logistical bottlenecks and enhancing productivity. This includes ambitious plans for high-speed rail corridors, expanded port capacities, and better road networks. Such projects are essential if India wants to maintain its competitive edge within the BRICS alliance and position itself as a reliable alternative to China for global manufacturing and trade. In addition to infrastructure, India is also grappling with a significant brain drain issue. Many of India's most talented professionals, particularly those in STEM fields, are drawn to opportunities abroad, especially in countries like the United States and Europe, where salaries and living standards are higher. This talent migration has serious implications for the Indian economy. It creates a paradox where India invests in educating its youth only to see them contribute to the growth of foreign economies. According to a recent report, nearly 30% of Indian origin engineers and tech experts work in Silicon Valley, highlighting the magnitude of this talent drain. Brain drain has long-term consequences beyond just the immediate loss of skilled labor. It leads to an overdependence on a smaller pool of skilled workers in India, which can drive up wages domestically and make it more challenging for industries to find affordable, highly skilled employees. This creates a domino effect, impacting sectors that rely on innovation and technical expertise, fields that India hopes to excel in as it transitions from low-cost labor industries to high-value services and manufacturing. To counteract this, PM Modi's administration is introducing policies aimed at retaining talent, such as Make in India and Startup India, to create attractive opportunities within the country. By fostering a startup-friendly ecosystem, India aims to provide competitive career paths for its skilled professionals, encouraging them to contribute to the nation's growth rather than seeking opportunities abroad. Additionally, the government is investing in R&D and tech hubs in cities like Bangalore and Hyderabad to provide an innovation-driven work environment comparable to global tech hubs. The BRICS alliance also plays a strategic role in India's approach to countering brain drain. By aligning with nations like Russia and South Africa, India is working on cross-border initiatives that foster collaboration in research, technology, and education, creating international opportunities within the BRICS network. These alliances allow India to offer more competitive and globally integrated career options, reducing the appeal of migrating to the US or Europe. However, infrastructure and brain drain are closely linked. India's infrastructure challenges not only affect business operations, but also impact the quality of life for its residents. Highly skilled professionals are less likely to stay in a country where commuting can be exhausting, power outages are frequent, and basic amenities are inconsistent. For India to retain its best talent, it needs not only economic opportunities, but also livable cities that meet modern standards. In the race to become a global economic leader, India must address these infrastructure and talent retention challenges to sustain its momentum. If it can build a world-class infrastructure and create an environment where its brightest minds want to stay, India's economy has the potential to rival the world's biggest players. But without these foundational improvements, India's growth could slow, and its aspirations to lead the global economy might remain unrealized. India's infrastructure and brain drain issues underscore the complexity of building a sustainable economic powerhouse. As the country navigates these challenges, the world watches to see if it can overcome these hurdles and truly achieve its potential within BRICS and on the global stage. Labor force participation and cultural challenges in India. India's vast population is one of its greatest economic assets, but it's also a complex challenge. Despite being the world's most populous country, India has a lower labor force participation rate compared to many other economies, especially among women. This untapped potential represents both a massive opportunity and a significant hurdle for the Indian economy. A large portion of India's workforce remains underutilized, limiting the nation's ability to reach its full economic potential. One of the main reasons for this low participation rate is cultural. In many parts of India, traditional gender roles still dominate, with women often expected to focus on household responsibilities rather than formal employment. According to a recent India Today report, only about 20% of working-age Indian women are active in the workforce, one of the lowest rates in the world. In contrast, China's labor force participation rate for women is over 60%, highlighting the gap that India needs to address to compete with its northern neighbor. This disparity means that India is not fully utilizing its human capital, which could have a major impact on its ambitions to become a global economic leader. Part of this challenge is due to the lack of infrastructure that would make it easier for women to enter the workforce. In many regions, basic amenities like childcare, transportation, and safe work environments are limited, which creates additional barriers for women. Simple but essential facilities like daycare centers and safe public transport could make a significant difference, enabling more women to participate in the formal economy. By investing in these facilities, India could unleash a wave of economic growth, potentially increasing its GDP by as much as $700 billion by 2025, as estimated by the International Monetary Fund, IMF. PM Modi's administration has recognized the importance of improving labor force participation, especially among women. Initiatives like Skill India and Beti Padhao, Save the Daughter, Educate the Daughter, aim to empower women with education and vocational training. These programs are designed to equip women with the skills needed to enter sectors like outsourcing, IT, and manufacturing, where India already has a competitive edge. If successful, these initiatives could significantly boost the Indian economy, allowing the country to leverage the talents of its entire population, rather than just half of it. The challenge of low labor participation is also linked to infrastructure limitations. Unlike developed economies, where domestic tasks are often automated, many Indian households still rely on manual labor for everyday activities such as cooking, cleaning, and washing clothes. Without widespread access to technologies that simplify household chores, many women are left with little time or energy to pursue formal employment. This reliance on traditional methods underscores the need for India to invest not only in economic infrastructure, but also in domestic technologies that improve quality of life. Additionally, the cultural expectation for women to prioritize family responsibilities has led to a situation where even educated women are often underutilized. Many Indian women have advanced degrees in fields like engineering and medicine, but are unable to find suitable employment or are discouraged from working. This results in a significant skills gap, where India's potential for innovation and growth remains untapped. For India to thrive in the high-tech sectors that it hopes to dominate, such as AI, digital services, and pharmaceuticals, it will need to make better use of its highly educated female population. India's struggle with low labor participation rates isn't only a domestic issue, it impacts its position within the BRICS alliance as well. Countries like Russia and South Africa have far higher female labor participation rates, which enhances their productivity. If India wants to lead within BRICS and challenge the US economy and China's economy, it needs to address this discrepancy. By increasing workforce diversity, India could accelerate economic growth, making it an even more attractive destination for foreign investors. Finally, India's large yet underutilized workforce creates a unique dynamic in its relationship with the US dollar and the global economy. As India's economy grows and develops, it has the potential to become a key player in international markets, including currency markets. However, without fully tapping into its workforce, particularly women, India may struggle to realize its full economic power. This could impact the country's ability to challenge the US dollar's dominance and strengthen its own currency within global trade. The labor force participation and cultural challenges that India faces are profound, but they also offer a massive opportunity. With the right investments in infrastructure, technology, and policy reforms, India could bring millions of people into the formal workforce, setting the stage for unprecedented economic growth. The potential is there, but the question remains: can India overcome these deeply rooted social and cultural barriers to unlock the full power of its population? India's path to becoming a global economic leader hinges on its ability to harness the potential of its people, men and women alike. As the country navigates these cultural and economic complexities, the world watches to see if India can rise to the occasion and claim its place among the world's most powerful economies. Have you heard about a man who is crazy as PM Modi did the unthinkable to the UK? The London Stock Exchange was putted in chaos because of this one man,